Hello, hello. I'm back to talk about the planets again. This is April the Star Witch, and it's my pleasure to go through this week with you. Oh, yeah. It felt like last week was just like the fast forward button got pushed, and zoom, we just went right through it. I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff happening and all of these energies that we're going through. But man, it was like a blur, just like a blur. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but last week was like a blur. And every time that happens, it feels like this mm, massive veil coming over all of us. Can't remember what happened. Can't remember what was going on. Can't remember most of September. It's just because we've been under a lot of pressure. We see it in the world, but it's also written in the stars. A lot of stuff that is new to us. So today is Wednesday, the 1st of October. Wow, October's here. And this is where it really starts to speed up, you know, just because the holidays, and especially because we're going to be heading into some really hot energy. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Um, but we'll just take it week by week for now, right? And that's how we take these energies step by step. And I see them building, and that way it doesn't take us super by surprise when the culmination of everything starts coming together, right? All right, let me see this chart. Okay, October 1st. And today, the moon went into Aquarius after being in Capricorn. That Capricorn moon was a little bit harsh. Um, but yeah, and then now, today, we have the moon conjunct Pluto, which, made for some intense feeling emotions, some kind of intense experiences out there. Of course, it's all intense right now. But personally, for all of us individually, we all dug something up from the past, a fear, emotion, and that's what started steering the boat today. So, Mercury and Jupiter in this square Wow. It's like some tension in the air between the home front, you know, and well, the mental realm, this idea that we're in a tense place with other people in the world. It's really obvious um, right now that a lot of different countries are at odds with each other. Reminds me of the meme with Spider-Man, a whole bunch of Spider-Mans pointing at it, all the other ones. Um, it's tense and it's kind of all mental. Yeah. And the trine that Jupiter is making to Black Moon Lilith today, and will be making for a little bit, is speaking about the dark things coming out. They'll be blowing up the things at home, not literally, but just in a figurative way. Um, Dark secrets. I mean, we see that some of the darkest things are about to rear their heads out into the light. And it's all about this people who have been hurt that deserve their justice. Um, with the with the South Node and Venus coming together as the days go by, there's something about our old values that are going out and new values coming in. And that's like a lot of different things. So yeah. So today, the moon with Pluto probably felt intense. There's probably something intense about today. And I'm just kind of feeling it. Let's see here. Okay. I just have to move some stuff around. All right. Now, the next day, Thursday. Yeah. All right. So on Thursday, we've got the main event is the moon squaring um, Mars early on. I'll be moving on. It's a passing thing, but that square, this is going to continue that tension, and it might result in feeling like you need to do something. If you feel like you need to do something as a result of something, some trigger to some fear, just check in as to what that action is that you're going to be doing. Is it revenge? That's not a good thing because you're not going to learn anything. Just everybody's going to be miserable. But if you learn something like how to do something different, how to redirect that energy into something productive, that could be a good turning point for anybody personally. going through these transits. And the sun and the moon in a trine aspect for Thursday. It's nice, because of all of those other squares and oppositions that are happening. Uh, it's a mess out there, so that trine, oops, okay, I think it's back. I accidentally pushed pause on my screen share. Okay, so that trine between the sun and the moon is gonna feel nice and harmonious and help us with the balance in our lives that we're needing to pay attention to because Libra season is going to be about the balance. That's why when I talk about these energies being intense, it's the challenge is to try to balance it out. Yeah, balance. Libra, balance. The scales. And we have to take into consideration, um, you know, things way differently when we're using the scales. Yeah, some things are not like others. Some things are not as heavy as others. So sometimes the balancing is not about overreacting or over correcting. Because that in itself is leaning into that chaotic energy. So, and on Thursday, we have an opposition between the Sun and Ceres in Aries. So that should be interesting. There may be something to do with mothers. There's been information coming out that's supposed to be benefiting mothers. Um, we've got all kinds of um, illumination with regards to the health of like newborn babies and so on. So it feels like a nice moment that might come to pass. It's kind of maddening, illuminating, exposing, and for the grieving mothers out there, because there's a lot of grief going on for mothers. Just a lot of stuff going on. That's one of the reasons why it's hard to even decide to have a baby these days, right? There's a lot to get through information wise, and then just the physical act of it is a lot of burden, but I'm seeing a relief coming, some kind of relief. And we're still dealing with Mercury. Well, we're dealing with Mercury coming into an opposition with Chiron, slowly but surely, as we make our way through the week. It's on Friday. On Friday, this is when Mercury will make its opposition to Chiron and Eris together. And Chiron and Eris together is like extra wounding about feeling left out, uh, abandonment. We may be finding something out, or there might be news about some kind of abandonment. And that could be a lot of things, um, but Mercury generally will rule like news cycles. And so there's something painful coming uh, out into the open with this opposition here. It's full illumination. We've got all these oppositions happening all at once. The sun is still in an opposition with Ceres as this happens. And it just feels like, how many people feel like they've been abandoned uh, instead of supported and helped, had to become their own healer or caretaker, trying to heal people. I think that straight up, this alignment is speaking about this uproar with the vaccine injury stuff because it involves Ceres and the sun, and we've got Mercury with Chiron, and Eris just adds an extra element that is like the feminine, uh, like throwing something in there to shake it up. Yeah. And so Friday, and the moon comes into like a trine with Mercury while this is happening. So another sign that this could be about women, mothers, the feminine, you know, the the ones who give life. And later on in the night, um, the moon will move into Pisces. Oops. Moon will move into Pisces later on that night. And will be in a square to Uranus. So, and Uranus is the ruler of Pluto. So we just saw the moon with Pluto having some kind of intense experience. And as it moves on into this square formation with Uranus in, and it goes into Pisces, we're entering a realm of the spiritual realm with the moon and mental health. Yeah. So, it'd be a great day to try to just uh, bring down the energy. Um, just try to calm down the energy. Because it's going to be, the moon will be connected to Uranus in this 10th square, which could end up in something explosive between the moon and Uranus. So something unexpected. And, if you're not actively in a crisis, then it's a good time to chill out. It's always a good time to chill out. Gosh. But I like to mention the times where it's like, yeah, you can definitely take a breather at this moment in time. Like it's safe, find a little bit of you time, take a bath, moon in Pisces. You might bring in some information that you needed. Um, and that's most likely to happen as the moon gets closer to the North Node after getting into Pisces. Because we'll have Friday and Saturday before the moon goes into full moon mode, right? So, and the next full moon is going to be in Aries. So take that time, take a little bit of time. I know Friday and Saturday, everybody wants to go out and do things, but what if you need some self-care and it doesn't involve um, acting like a fool, right? Because that's the other choice for Friday and Saturday with the moon in Pisces is to get completely wasted, right? And dissociate from everything. But then you would miss out on the gifts. So try to take it easy on yourself in all the different ways that you know that you should. And Friday and then Saturday. Mhm. And Saturday, as the moon gets really close to that north node, there's evolutionary gifts. As long as you don't get too like messed up in the head, because you might think like, hey, um, I got plans. I'm gonna go out. People want me to come party because the beginning of October always ends up being very celebratory. Everybody wants to have fun. It's like, high school football season and homecoming's coming, and then, oh my God, Halloween, Thanksmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's like the beginning of October, everybody starts feeling this rush of adrenaline, but that's not really where the gifts are. It's not where the true gift of the moment is being hidden. And with Venus passing by the south node, we're letting go of something that used to be a value, something we used to value, and it could be simply like just going out to party, right? You used to really dig it, but maybe this year you're searching for a different thing, something else that will bring more satisfaction, right? We're looking for, if we can take the time to get quiet, we can tap into what we're searching for. But if you're just moving through life, one chaotic event after another and you're pretty much fully participating in it, then you're not going to see anything beyond just this like chaos magic. And there's all kinds of stuff that's going to be happening, but um, you might just be watching it sort of like from the outside if you're not truly looking to be on the inside of this event. It's kind of a big deal, these transits, um, in all these different ways. One major big deal, that mini trine between Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune and Saturn together. Um, and that's ongoing. And so that's already asking all of us to try to play our part in transforming in a greater way, in a way that basically contributes to the whole, you know, individually making hopefully better choices, giving up things that aren't good for you anymore. I see that Venus passing by the South Node, and it's a really good opportunity um, to look at what your values are. Because truly, what your values are feed into your desire to actually do something. All of it is interconnected inside of you. None of this stuff is like separate. It's all related. That's why we always look like the crazy guy with the things on the wall pointing to yeah, you know. So Saturday is another fairly quiet day-ish. We've got the moon and a trine to um Mars, but that might be, it should be fairly nice. Um, although Mars is next to Black Moon Lilith. Again, finding out what you're truly looking for. That's kind of really vague, but everybody has their own desires that they need to refine or find for the first time ever. Mm, Because the thought of people's desires right now is kind of horrifying to think about. I don't really want to think about people's desires right now because it's not really a good thing. Um, so that is where we all individually transform into the collective transformation of our values will in turn be the collective transformation of our desires and our desire to what? It's whatever we value. And I could say what I would hope it would be. It's just that this charts the planets, they just describe the mechanisms behind what's going on. My hopes and dreams are that we find a beautiful new way to value, good things, more wholesome things. It's such a funny word, wholesome. But there's nothing else like it. You could say pure, but then it's all convoluted, right? So I could say that I hope that people start having this transformation into a more wholesome type of human being. And that's not to say that we can't be a little bit funky, weird, different. Um, all right, so Sunday. All right. I know there's like probably a lot going on in these charts that I'm not getting to, but we're just flying through the week again because when we get to Sunday, in my notes I wrote, OMG, what the fuck, moon? Because it feels like there's a whole lot going on. We got the moon on the edge going into Aries, but in that moment, it's in between Saturn and Neptune. It's gonna be this like what the fuck moment. Seriously. There's probably going to be mass confusion that leads into when the moon goes into Aries. There could be a lot of anger. There could be a lot of anger, like just funneled into the collective. Because every time the moon passes through this portal between Saturn and Neptune, as they stay together but separate just enough to where something can get in the middle, that thing in the middle is seriously um, activated by their conjunction. And since it's the moon, it's all of us individually, it's all of us, all of the reflections of you know the greater whole, our emotions definitely coming into play here between fiction and reality. And it might feel a little bit psychedelic just being in this moment between Saturn and Neptune with the moon. Yeah. And then the moon goes into Aries more and is conjuncting Neptune on on the inside of Aries, right? And that's where it feels like more uh anger fueled by confusion is possible. We've got grief, grieving mothers right here in series. As the moon moves closer and closer into that area, the triggering of these, I want to say it's like rage. I feel like there might be rage. As we got the Black Moon Lilith and Ceres, and I think that's in conjunct. Mm, Black Moon Lilith with Mars, and we've got Mercury sneaking up on that situation. There is something very big in here. And Sunday's gonna lead into Monday, and Monday's the full moon, I believe. Yes. Yeah. So Monday is the full moon, but the energies are going to be on full tilt from Sunday. You'll probably be feeling it before then, but that's why my advice is to like just try to take it easy. Friday and Saturday. Just try as hard as you can to do self-care and you know, it's hard for people that are actually in a war zone, but hopefully you're not in a war zone. I pray that you're not. Mm. And yeah, so like when the moon goes into Aries and is just starting to feel like your emotions are on fire, and if you notice being confused, that's a good sign that you're feeling those energies and that you can try to channel those energies into something more creative or spiritual. Um, you know, for some people, they could pray, obviously. For some people, they could meditate, very similar things, right? Yeah, let's see. Monday, yes, okay. So Monday, Monday, we've got our full moon at 14 degrees, I believe. It's close enough. And Mercury goes into Scorpio to join this fun, crazy crew, Black Moon Lilith and Mars. Our thoughts are gonna be on fire with this full moon in Aries. And I mean, I fully expect relationships to blow up that aren't doing well. That's just a given. It's like, no doubt. If you're in one of those and you're finding yourself in some kind of explosive, even abusive situation, like seriously, find a way out. You may have to be very strategic about it, but um, as the as the full moon comes to pass, things will be illuminated. So this is going to be a really active full moon, active, activating. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Mercury and Scorpio. Here come the mind games. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a good time to figure out how to fortify your mind. And that's not like, essentially, it's a time to face your fears mentally, right? Because it's in the mind. Um, the situation with Mercury going into Scorpio and at the precipice of passing over Black Moon Lilith and Mars, makes me think of the quote, fear is the mind killer. So whatever that means to you right now, because fear can also be the energy behind explosive anger sometimes, uh, when we're letting fear like run the show, right? And with Mars, so the ruler of the moon is Mars because the moon is in Aries. And so we've got Mars in Scorpio, and it's going to be a good time to look at the way that those thoughts just spin and spin in your head, those fearful ones. Just anytime you notice yourself thinking of something that is giving yourself like a panic attack, right? Um, just think about like how likely it is that that could happen. Try to balance yourself out, as the sun is ultimately the medicine right now. The sun in Libra. So the balance is the medicine. Balancing out the polarities. Because we got the sun and the moon at cardinal polarities. That is the sun being in a space where Libra is, so supposed to bring in compassion for others, and the moon in Aries, if it's doing well, is like a divine protector, tapping into that divine protector energy. So that might shed some light on why there's a bunch of military action going on. And if you can choose curiosity and empathy, compassion over fear, maybe you won't have like such a panic attack over what all this news is about. 'Cause it may not be exactly what you think it is. Because there's mind games happening. It's like, you know, playing chess. There is something happening that, is possibly for a higher purpose. And it's not good for you to worry about it regardless. It just isn't. So even though the moon is going through all of these crazy transits from Sunday to Monday, um, it's a good thing to remember that it's an opportunity to transform, not just change, but truly transform through, you know, sort of like confronting your fears with compassion. Yeah, I think that's a good way to say the theme for this full moon. Confront your fears with compassion. And then Tuesday, after the full moon, the moon goes into Taurus late at night. But before, earlier in the day, we've got Mercury squaring Pluto. And so we've got this um, tension again between our minds and our fear. Just remember, fear is the mind killer. It's not just the mind killer. Fear is the killer, because it creates stress. And if you're feeling fear for longer than the crisis, then you're gonna hurt yourself. So it's a very transformative uh, week, I think. Lots of opportunities to dig in deeper instead of just going with that chaos magic that's floating out there. Because, yeah, we can tap into that, and then who knows where that will take us. And it may take years to get back on track. So, realizing that that's what is going on around us um, can potentially help you ground, and you ground out, you land, put your landing gear down, and by next Wednesday, the moon will be in Taurus. It's not exactly super safe zone, but at least you can put the landing gear down and try to uh, just appreciate that crazy adventure that you just went through. Yeah, yeah. This week is going to be active, and I know I keep saying that, but just feels extra, a little extra. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing this. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me again. I'm gonna end this here and wish you all a very productive and transformative week. And I'll see you again next week. Bye.